Now that we've populated our flattened schema, let's dive into the pipeline application. This file, add pmaxcampaigns.py, is structured like most of the code examples we provide in Python and accepts three parameters: a customer ID, a schema path, which is the location of the file containing the flattened schema, and finally, an asset requirements path, which is the location of a file containing asset group asset requirements, as I've referenced several times already. In the main method, we load the JSON file containing our PMax schema, save it as a variable named PMaxCampaigns, and call add PMaxCampaigns. This performs the steps I outlined earlier in the pipeline overview, namely validating and fixing our schema, expanding the schema in a pre-processing step, creating operations, and then finally issuing a request. The first step, calling this validate PMax campaigns function, returns a list of the valid campaigns in our schema, which we assign to the variable valid PMax campaigns. We'll only move on if we have at least one valid PMax campaign to work with. It's worth noting that this entire validation step isn't strictly necessary. If you skipped it and submitted your request with errors, you could just fix the errors after the fact and resubmit your request. However, there are several benefits of validating your PMax schema ahead of time. You can catch and correct errors early. You can preserve campaigns with errors in draft form locally to fix later. And you also have greater flexibility and control over error handling. For example, you can display messages to users to fix any issues, and of course, you can use the settings I shared earlier to automatically fix some issues without any human intervention. Back in our validate PMax campaigns method, we initialize an empty list for our valid PMax campaigns. Then, we'll iterate through the campaigns, validating one campaign at a time by instantiating a validator class and calling the isPMaxCampaignValid method for each campaign. This method returns a Boolean, whether or not the campaign is valid. If the campaign is not valid, we'll log any errors identified by the validator and move on to the next campaign. Otherwise, we'll add the PMax campaign to our list of valid PMax campaigns, which is stored by reference on the validator class. If the validator identified errors in a PMax campaign, this means the custom settings did their job and that our validator automatically fixed some errors. We'll still create the campaign, but we should log the errors to give ourselves an opportunity to investigate and address them in the future.